Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen Show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 173, ... recorded on Friday, November 19th, 2021 from Zenatta Consulting. I'm Tyler Colt. And this week, Brett's actually out of the office, so I'm joined here by Vanu from over at Nimbus Designs. Thank you so much for joining, Vanu.
Glad to be back. I'll throw in my own ...
Yeah. A little bit of ellipses that will come in later here. But now that we've kind of gotten the intros out of the way, let's get right on into the show. So Brett this week is somewhere deep down in Mexico watching the Baja 1000. I took a call from him yesterday and heard a bunch of engines in the background. So I think that's been going on. But onward we march. The news and the show must go on. So here we are. So as always, we'll get started just kind of walking through some of our announcements and events coming up. So next month for December, we're actually not doing a product webinar. We're taking just 1 month off of those. Instead, we're going to be doing an expanded episode of the CRM Zen Show. In that show, we'll basically go through all the different top stories throughout the course of this year, as well as presenting our ZenMe's award. Please don't send us a cease and desist on that one. If you haven't yet, please go over to zenatta.com/ZenMe's, ZenMys. There you can vote for your favorite apps, favorite plugins, all your different favorite things on the world of Zoho. And for all other events, of course, head over to zenatta.com/events. There we roll up webinars from us, other partners, as well as Zoho. So we try to put it all in one place for you. And with that, let's get right on into the news. So a couple stories this week, not a super heavy news week, but a couple of the stories are definitely heavy hitters. So one of the big ones here, Zoho Campaigns getting a pretty big update around how the CRM sync works, how segments work. There's going to be a lot of updates here coming out with campaigns over the next couple of weeks. And this is definitely leading into those. Any thoughts here, things that stand out, Vanu?
Oh man, there's so much. I've been waiting. I'm sure y'all have too. This update is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sync between CRM and campaigns the first part is great, but there's so many holes. If you you can add people to a list super easily, but when you're removing, like if someone no longer fulfills the criteria, you can't get them out.
Yeah,
there's so many other workarounds. So I'm very excited for this. I think the one downside is how they're with syncing all contacts. It's a little bit concerning with some of the costs. You have to mark contacts as non-marketing.
Yep.
I'm a little bit worried about like clients that might have to come in and get charged, and then you have to get a
undo
refund
it
or something. But it's so the timing of that might be a little hairy, but this is, probably this is in addition to this campaign sync update. It sounds like deliverability has been improving over the last 6 months tremendously with campaigns.
Yep.
And we've been starting to kind of roll back with some clients to do some campaigns projects as well. So we're I'm kind of on board with campaigns right now. I'm really hoping. I really think that Zoho's putting in the work, and so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, and I think so. The kind of spark notes on this one here, I know it's kind of a big read for those watching on video. In essence, segments getting a lot of expanded functionality. So previously, really the only way to get someone into a workflow or like a drip campaign is to put them into their own list. But that can become a little bit hairy if you're running a bunch of different lists. So now they're building out the ability to drop people into those workflows based on segments. They're also rolling out multi-portal support. I've seen this popping up seemingly app by app. I know CRM got it, I think maybe a month or two ago, now coming over here to campaigns. And then a whole bunch of features for workflows themselves. So being able to re-enter a workflow as if you resatisfy a certain criteria, as well as some new triggers and options there within the workflows themselves. I think the only one that they didn't specify in this that we do know is coming is the update to the integration itself. So expect maybe one more story on that here in one of the coming weeks.
Next little that's the big one.
Yeah, that's the biggest one, right? So no spoilers. We won't go too deep into that for now, but be on the lookout. Next story here, kind of just an update, a new voice over IP integration for Zoho CRM. So this is coming from Dialpad. Kind of an interesting tool there. It's kind of voice over IP with the tie-in for some like AI tools. I believe it does like local area code and some like, progressive dialing and things like that. Basically, they've rolled out an integration. The more the merrier when it comes to voice over IP. I mean, though there are just so many different tools here. Have you ever used Dialpad on any of your implementations? I don't think we've ever touched it ourselves.
I don't think that we have. I'm kind of at the bottom there. Read Dialpad's Microsoft Teams direct routing integration. That's very interesting. And with Zoho integration as well. Yeah, I agree. Kind of, you can't have too many VoIP services, and VoIP is one of the best areas for like people coming to Zoho and seeing, oh, there's already an integration here. It's definitely one of our best magnets to get clients in.
Yeah. The only challenge is with so many options, it's hard to figure out which one's right. Like
still
they've all got their
to
specific,
the same ones sometimes, right?
Yep. It's because you just never know. Quick little update here in the world of Zoho Recruit. They've now added mail merge preview. So this is basically if you are sending out an email. So this isn't a mail merge for a PDF. Now, when you're actually going in and doing your templates, you can set up and do a quick test template where you're referencing a specific record just to make sure that all your different merge tags come in. It's actually a little one, but it is nice. Oftentimes before you just have to trust that that little first name tag is formatted correctly. Now just a little quick way to validate that before you send it out to any potential hires.
Is that the same as CRM's email preview?
I believe so. Yeah, it's the same kind of tool.
Yeah, I was initially thinking this was more like drafts, and then it was the preview side. I mean, that's super helpful.
Yeah, the one little last thing they need for Zoho Recruit, and I don't know if you know this one, there is no IMAP integration for third-party email for Recruit.
Right?
It only uses POP. So Zoho, please, if you're listening, please add IMAP. Yeah, nobody wants to use POP. But getting better and better. We've actually found ourselves using the tool more. We found for Zoho Recruit, there's a really nice tie into the CRM if you're like a recruiting agency for closing a deal, kicking it to Recruit, getting people hired, and then writing all that back to the CRM.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of an interesting
onboarding into Zoho One from Recruit is phenomenal, and I actually like it. Just on the email topic, the ability to adjust the HTML in Recruit is a lot better than CRM. Like with CRM, you don't have the ability, like if you make the template, you can't adjust the HTML after, but with Recruit, you can, which is massively beneficial.
Yeah, so you get it 90% of the way there and then fine tune it. Yeah, it's always interesting with Recruit and CRM because if you just do a cursory look at them, they're exactly the same. But then they've got these like little functionalities. Like Recruit has a much better search than CRM for some unbelievable reason.
The map searching in Recruit. Oh my gosh.
Let's see here, on to our next little page. So a couple more stories here. Zoho Workerly has added timesheet reminders. So again, nothing big here. One of those things that you would have thought they already had, but for Workerly, if you are managing your temp employees through that tool, you can now activate some basic timesheet reminders. So, here you can do things if this image will load, you can say, okay, send one after 3 days and then every 2 days following if it seems like someone should have submitted a timesheet. So just a little one there, but definitely nice to have. Another quick update here from Zoho Meeting on the Android app. So a couple improvements for webinar co-hosts. Kind of an odd one. I don't know when you'd run a webinar off of a mobile device, but if you are, co-organizers just getting some more abilities here. So viewing polls, viewing the questions from those, they can leave the webinar, kind of, could they not before? Kind of an odd one here. But otherwise, as we always say, we're always surprised at all the different things people are doing on mobile. So the more functionality, the better. Have you switched over to Zoho Meeting yourself? We're still on Zoom on our side.
We actually had to switch from Zoho Meeting to Zoom, unfortunately. But I've been I saw some other Click stuff as well. Zoho Meetings made some massive improvements.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the actual platform itself, it's challenging though for the booking like we have a lot of co-hosting, a lot of admin. I think for it gets challenging at the kind of enterprise level.
Yeah.
But on this specific, maybe not necessarily on webinars, but I definitely have had that challenge with I might be the meeting host, right? I might have another team member jumping on and I'm jumping on my phone. And we've had like, I'm the only one that can trigger the cloud recording, but I can't do that on my phone.
Gotcha.
I'm the only one that can trigger, some of these like polls and things. So if there's no co-host, that management is a little bit challenging in meetings. So it sounds like they're really getting in the right direction with this kind of update, which is very exciting.
Awesome. Last little update. Actually, we did 2 more news stories here. So one here for Zoho Meeting with some iOS updates. So again, same theme here, just for iOS. Anonymous QA support in webinars. You can now add participants from the mobile app. Again, something you would think would be there. And it looks like you've now able to send or maybe edit your invitation template. So a couple little updates here, never hurts to have. I'm looking at that email here. Yep, there you go. So now you've got a little mobile thing that you can send out. Actually, looks like a text. So that's pretty slick.
That's awesome.
All righty. Now for kind of a big one. I don't know if you saw this one pop up. It was in the Partner Connect, and so we didn't put it in. And then it kind of snuck out, I think, last night on the forum. So that means, generally speaking, we're not going to get yelled at for talking about it.
It's a good slip in.
And so Zoho Desk behind the scenes has been working on their UI very, very heavily. And they're ready to now open up early access for this new UI. So they have done just like a ton here. Everything from the way that your ticket queue looks, totally revamped view of a particular contact, made a ton of updates here to the ticket view. The nice thing is, I mean, it's gonna look familiar enough that you'll be able to pick this up, but just with some nice quality of life things. Nice little things here too on the blueprints, if you're seeing that, some better defined transitions for the tickets. Improving on some of their reporting, and then a couple of just oddball UI things. So they've now got dark mode. I have dark mode everything, and I even have a plugin in Brave here that'll turn things dark mode even if they're not. So nice work for there. If you've got a support team looking at the screen for a lot of the day, definitely good to not have to stare at all the white light. Updates to some themes, so a little more color coding, a little more choices around font and font size. That never hurts. Some additional accessibility controls about just, who should be able to see certain things around, linking, and a lot of these different options just for like visual clarity. Multi-language support for the knowledge base. So it's actually, and let me know if you understand this differently, but it sounds like to me, it's going to translate your knowledge base for you if you choose to turn on a particular language. That would be very, very, very cool. Interested to see how good the translation is, but even if it were to get question. It, yeah.
But I think CRM does the same thing, but I believe it's pretty good, but I feel like this is going to nail it pretty closely, and then you tweak from there.
A couple other little ones here. This one's actually kind of slick. So conversation coloring. So you can now see quickly if something is a public or private comment. They've always had the little tiny gray text that says public or private, but now it's just color coding so you can see at a glance. Date time format choices, infinite scrolling to make it interesting on that one. I don't know how that slipped in, but in the taking a vein from or taking note from social media platforms, they now have infinite scroll here. So if you've got thousands of tickets, you can just go and go and go.
This is one of the coolest and I think unexpected and underrated features. If you have, as an admin, I'm looking at what is just open, and I'm trying to just skim through. You have your dashboards and things, but in not having to paginate, I think this is one of the first Zoho apps where we're seeing this in their main web UI. So I'm just imagining if I'm in the clients module and I'm scrolling, and at some point I do just get annoyed just hitting next, same with projects. So I actually think that this is a huge one.
Yeah. If they can figure out the tech behind it, right, then they can start using it in different applications.
Yeah. A lot of what we're seeing here is very Zoho projects esque in terms of the themes, the dark mode. So I'm hoping that this upgrade is similar to the projects where we're also seeing a performance upgrade as well. And it sounds like we'll be getting that, which is
and I think I
massive.
remember seeing a little while back, I think they built this using React. Like this is like a rebuild. It's not like a new coat of paint. It's like a full-on rebuild. If I remember correctly, I read that a little while ago.
I also saw on Connect that they were saying there was I think some performance improvements as well. So I'm hoping that, I mean, we're not going to know until we see it, but or touch it. But I have high hopes here.
Yeah, so if you are interested here, the link will of course be in our newsletter or on the CRM or the Zenatta website under the podcast section here. And you can go over to this article on Zoho website and go ahead and request early access. So yeah, give it a try. Shoot us your thoughts. If people love it, people hate it. Be interested to see the general opinion here. I do have a question from our chat. They're saying DOT or dot design for desk. What do we think that stands for? I don't think it's defined anywhere here. Desk optimization tracking. Let's go with that.
There we go. I honestly, I'm good with the acronyms. I really don't know on this one.
Well, nonetheless, a nice update there from Zoho Desk. And with that, let's go ahead and move over to our implementation of the week. That's normally the part where Brett would say, what do you have for us this week, Tyler? But I guess I'll just jump right in. So this is kind of an interesting one. It's a full kind of end-to-end workflow for capturing just a ton of different data when a new CRM record is created. So basically for this use case, once a new contact gets created, our client needed a couple different Zoho sign documents created and a few different Zoho formed submissions so that they can capture this different sets of data, you know, like COVID-19 waivers and this, that, the other thing that all need to be captured in their own form. And then lastly, they just need a slew of different attachments, right? An image of the driver's license, an image of this, that, and the other thing. And previously what they were doing is that once that new contact, you know, triggered the point where we need this data, they were getting an email that basically had 6 different links out to all these different places that that employee needed to go to submit this data. And none of it was writing back to the CRM. So all the attachments are just coming through via emails, and you've got admin people adding them to all the various contacts. So basically what we did is using the Zoho Forms to Zoho Sign integration and some specific redirects once different documents and forms were completed, basically built out one flow where they get one email with a link that says start your onboarding process. Through that, they fill out all the different information for their W-4, I-9. They get redirected for the Zoho Sign to go ahead and complete that live just as part of this process. And then all of the submitted documents and form data and attachments are just writing directly back to the CRM. And so really, you know, this is something you could do a couple different ways. So you could do something like this through Creator, right? If you're to kind of build a sequential pages that are embedding and redirecting. We did it through Zoho Sign and Forms just because it's a lot faster to stand it up that way. And you kind of are able to make it a little bit prettier. Sometimes, you know, Creator forms are very useful, but not always very pretty. So in this case, you know, we basically were able to just take 6 different links, join them all up into one, and just have them daisy chain back to back and, you know, basically pre-fill all the information as you go. I know you guys do a lot of different work like this as well, these kind of APIs and automations. You ever do anything in this kind of vein?
Oh yeah, I actually really love integrating Zoho Sign to see. I think it's just so powerful to be able to collect information in your sign document, and like you collect the signature, you collect the document, but you also are able to integrate with the custom code, integrate that data into your CRM and capture it. Like that's so streamlined, right? Like I love the idea of having a form and then being able to redirect pre-filled into the sign, change the value at the end of the day, but you still capture the final values in your Zoho. Extraordinarily powerful. This is awesome.
And what we found the big thing with these is that because you can automate in Zoho Sign, you get less fall off, right? So like rather than, you know, this person filling out a form, getting emailed the link later, right? They fill out the form and it just opens to the document, right? And you click through, sign it, it opens to the next thing you need to do. And you just kind of go step by step through the full process. So definitely a nice one there, and definitely a time saver, because previously there were a lot of attachments coming through by email that needed to be manually put together for or into the CRM. And with that, let's jump over to our read of the week. This one, Founders Speak Up, What I Wish I Knew While Starting My Business. This one's written by Wade Foster, and it's over on the Zapier blog. And I think you put us onto the Zapier blog, didn't you, Venu? We would always pull from HubSpot.
I'm a huge fan. Fan.
Awesome. So this is kind of like a little roundtable here. It looks like maybe they did it via video and then wrote out a blog post for it. Sounds a lot like what we do a lot of the time. Where basically they've got a couple different business founders who just talk about, how they got where they are, what are some of the steps, and what are the things that they wish they knew as they were getting going. So a handful of things, do something you care about, right? That one, it seems obvious, but it isn't always, right? Make sure that you're focusing on the things that matter. Taking care of yourself. I think we can probably both attest to this one, especially in the early stages. That one's hard to hold yourself to.
That's kind of our number one principle. I mean, in Nimbus, like I really, really drive it because we're workaholics sometimes, and it's the easiest person to not take care of. You take care of a client, you take care of everyone else, but you got to take care of yourself first, or you're not able to. You can't grow, you can't scale.
Yep, start to fall apart at the seams a little bit. Recognize imposter syndrome. This is kind of an interesting one from this. I think that probably pops up for everybody. Basically just the concept that you feel like you're not good enough to do it, but that's kind of how everybody feels. So try to jump over that issue. This is a funny one. I remember, was it Mark Cuban? I'd rather be lucky than good. So you need luck, but can't rely on it. And then this one I don't really get. Think about the journey as a brisk walk. I guess not running, but walking. It's a nice little quick read, things to think about. Anything stick out for you, Venu?
I'll say on the last one, I like that a lot, actually. I really like with the team, I've been really emphasizing like real scalability and growth. It takes time. Sometimes, I mean, it's gonna be organic. You can plan ahead, but like, especially in our small, medium-sized businesses, there's millions of opportunities. There's just so many things, and you gotta take care of yourself, but just take it one day at a time, and the path will kind of reveal itself as you go. So I really like this, actually.
Awesome. And very metaphorical there. The path will reveal itself. I like that one.
Oh yeah.
Good write-up for Wade Foster, who I'm just now reading is the CEO of Zapier. So he probably doesn't care much about my opinion, but good job anyways, Wade. We appreciate the read. Definitely a very cool company too, Zapier, kind of a leader in that plug and play integration space that has just blown up over time. Moving right along here over to what's new on Zenatta.com. So we did do a full webinar here. That was just a couple days ago on Zoho Mail, kind of one of our full product tutorials where we just step through each of the different buttons you got to press and places you got to go to get through a product. Of course, we do post those full webinars over on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Zenatta. Got to do our little plug. But we like to write them up as a blog as well over on the website. So if you don't like listening to us or get sick of seeing our faces, you can kind of just skip through and get the good stuff here in our write-up. Do you guys use Zoho Mail, Venu? I know we did a webinar on it, but we actually don't use it. We use Gmail internally.
Yeah, we're Gmail internal, but we did explore Zoho Mail. There's some very, very cool features. I'm a Gmail baby, but I really love some of the things they're doing here.
Yes, streams I think are one of my favorite
cool
ideas that I've seen in a mail client. My whole thing with the reason we've always had to stay over on Gmail is mostly because of the calendar. So for us,
Agreed.
We've never trusted Zoho bookings. I would love to, but we just we've got too many issues there with it. And for us, we've always had to use Zoom. So we're just kind of missing some of those last integrations to move over.
Like I said, we just moved to Zoom, and the Zoho bookings integration with Zoom, I think, is powered through Zapier, was semi-recently released, and we've been having trouble with that, unfortunately. Yeah. I think that we are likely, unfortunately, moving off of Zoho bookings in the next, definitely before the end of the year. But we're making the move to Acuity, I think, over.
Got it.
Calendar.
Yeah, Acuity is great too.
Yeah.
My fear has always been with the Zoho bookings integration for Zoom is that if it's going through Zapier, does it show up as an update to the meeting rather than like it's just created with the link?
Yeah, there's a lot of holes, and especially like with our setup, like we want like an ad, there's us and an additional co-host should always be added on, and there's like a lot of other like
Just
custom
business
features.
rules. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I can't use the default one anyway, but I think I can do that with Acuity. So we're gonna see what happens.
Gotcha. And then here, our pick of the week brought to us by Wayne from our team here. This one is Dialpad for the CRM. So, we talked about earlier, this is kind of a new integration. They did just roll it out recently, so we thought we'd highlight it here as something to take a look at. My dark mode plugin here running awry. This page looks a little bit funky. But basically, this is their plugin. Looks like you actually install it from the Dialpad side. Makes me wonder if they're going through the phone bridge or not. Or if they've kind of built their own a la AirCall. Looks pretty slick. So you basically have the ability, if you get a call that's not yet in the CRM, you can just add it to Zoho through Dialpad. And then if you are in the CRM, of course, you're going to have your little side tab. You're going to click to call. You're going to be able to do all of those various things that really any of these voice over IP providers can do. So if you are a Dialpad user or looking at different voice over IP tools, maybe worth taking a look at this one now that they've got an integration running. Alrighty, and with that, we'll jump right over to our tips of the week. Here we have a couple that we've kind of broken out from our WorkDrive webinar. So one of them, just a quick overview of WorkDrive, what it is, where are the buttons, right? How do I kind of use this? And then another short little video, I think 8 or 9 minutes on just how to get around the admin console. With WorkDrive, I mean, we love WorkDrive. I don't know if you've adopted or use it a ton for clients, but there's just so much cool stuff you can do, right? Because it's all in that same...
I don't think I ever believed that Google Drive could be beaten out, and like WorkDrive just like so like it works so well. They give us so much storage. I mean, just so much storage, and it works. And I think that like the future of this app, we seeing like really cool things with tags, categories. Like we haven't seen
metadata.
Much
the metadata on documents is slick.
Document collection links, like, oh my gosh, there's so many cool features and growth here. Google Drive feels like it hasn't been upgraded in like the last 10 years, Yep. And that's my biggest, like, I really like how what WorkDrive is doing here. So we're doing some custom integrations, plugins, extensions for like, Zoom meetings to WorkDrive, just like Zoom to Google Drive, and a couple other things like that. Because I really want to invest in this area.
Yeah, one of our favorites that we seem to be implementing for a ton of different clients is you're on your deal page, you've got a custom button, you press the button, it makes a mail merge of your proposal via API, and then uploads that to the WorkDrive link specific for that account, and then brings the live WorkDrive link right back to the deal. And then you can just open it to the live document and distribute through Sign in just like a handful of clicks. Beautiful. It's very cool. It's a good case study for Zoho, right? Because you got the CRM, you've got your writer, you've got WorkDrive, and you've got Zoho Sign, and you're just kind of flying through these various steps.
Yeah.
They do need to finalize their API doc, though. It is still living in that
perpetually not unfinalized.
Yeah. It is just in a writer document that floats around. So hopefully one day that'll get a web page, but until then, we'll stick with the writer document.
It's kind of infamous right now.
It does work though, so it's I guess good enough.
It is there.
Yep. And with that, we'll jump into our Q&A. So if anyone in the chat has any questions, please go ahead and drop those in. In the meantime, we'll highlight a few here from over on our YouTube. So we have a question from Anatoly here. Thanks for the video. Can you please tell me how to get call records into Zoho CRM from RingCentral? Short answer is activate that integration. From there, as long as you've got the integration set up from an admin account and each of the users have logged into their individual RingCentral account through the little phone button in the bottom right, all of their various calls should automatically get logged directly into the CRM against either leads or contact records. One other quick little question here, maybe more of a request. I would like a 1-hour episode on Zoho contracts. So would we. We'll probably be doing one of those in 2022. Sometimes when Zoho puts out a new app, will wait just a little bit to start making content on it, because they oftentimes are going to roll out so many cool updates right out of the gate that our videos kind of become invalidated really quickly sometimes. So we try to wait just a little bit, but expect a video on this sometime in 2022. Let us see here. Any other questions here? I don't think we've got any. So with that, I guess we'll head into our wrap up. Thanks, of course, Venu, for joining us today. Any other closing comments or thoughts? It's always a pleasure to have you here.
No, yeah, I'm glad to be back, and it's always a great time. I'm trying to jump into that name here.
Yeah, you're thinking ahead.
Trying to think ahead.
That's the hardest part of the job.
It is.
You know, it seems like it'd be the presenting, but really it's coming up with the names. Now, last week, Greg, our senior developer, threw out like 4 or 5 at the end of the show. Just, he was clearly, you know, doing his homework here. So hopefully we'll get bailed out. But with that, I guess we will wrap for today. If you have any other questions or comments, please head over to zenatta.com and drop us a line. On the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. We'd love if you would follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.